So I'm going to move on now, which I think is going to be the highlight of the day, to the Q&A session with Megan and Sarah. And then if it's all right, Si, I'll hand back over to you.
Fantastic. So no pressure there then, Dave. Thanks for that.
No.
So thanks. So what we wanted to do was let you hear about the apprenticeship standard from people that are experiencing it. So thank you so much to Sarah and to Megan for taking part in this from University of Leeds. So what we were going to do is ask them questions. We have primed these already, but I'll do my best not to trip up and put you off. But we thought we've had a conversation, and this was probably a better way to facilitate that. So I'm going to ask Sarah, I'm going to ask you a question first about what made you decide to recruit an apprentice into your team, and what was it about the education technician apprenticeship that attracted you?
Okay, can you hear me? I don't know if Savannah's unmuted me. You can.
Yeah, we got you, Sarah.
That's great, thank you. So for me, I've worked with a few apprentices and a few different providers in the past, and what really interested me in this programme was I think I got an email from Caleb, and it was part of Technician's Commitment, I think, something like that, and it popped up about an education technician, and to me that was just what I was looking for, because we have a lot of teaching laboratories, both undergraduate and master's students, and we could teach the laboratory classes, the science, the setup. We could do that ourselves to the right applicant, but what we needed was a course that would underpin those sort of research and teaching theories that would, support our apprentice in the laboratory. Because what we wanted was, rather than having a research technician that did a bit of teaching or a bit of laboratory support, we wanted to nurture a technician that would become an expert in all the different types of laboratory classes that we have in chemical and process engineering, and really to see this as a lifelong career if the person wanted it, for them to really be able to develop. So that's why it attracted me. There are other level 7 laboratory technician, level 7, level 3 laboratory technician, but that's more on the science, whereas this is more all the things that encompass providing a good service. So as David said, like health and safety, professional relationships, all the things that were on that list, and they were the things that I was looking for. And also that it was online. That's what really attracted me as well, because a lot of my apprentices don't really like travelling to college. It can be quite a way and a journey, and the fact that it was online attracted me very much to the programme.
Great. Okay, thank you very much. And so from when you decided this would be a good fit, how did you find that process then from kind of making your initial inquiries and then getting Megan started?
So I really communicated with David the most. We had a discussion around, say, the Maybank holiday about whether this education technician was the right one for me, the right one for what we were looking at. And we quickly came to the conclusion that it was, and that CSR could provide that sort of programme that I wanted. From that, I had a lot of support. We already drafted job description, but I had a lot of support as well with CSR about the job description and also advertising. We were quite late going out to advert because we were waiting for funding, wages, etc., sorting out. So we were quite late going out to advert. But again, that wasn't a problem at all. Everyone was so supportive, and we were able to get Megan on the programme. I think she started a week before, it actually started for proper. So the whole onboarding, the organisation, the support, it was just absolutely seamless. I was never left wondering what was happening, or have I got a place on the course? Are we secure with our learning provider? It's just been absolutely perfect, an absolutely professional service.
That's great. And I suppose if you had your initial discussions in May, am I right that the programme started in September in the autumn kind of time?
It was October in the end, yeah. Third week in October. Okay.
Yeah. So it can take some time, can't it? And there's things when you're trying to recruit. I think quite often employers think it's too tricky, and they may just go to what they know. And I guess it is slightly different, and because of that, there is a little bit of unknown. But it's not impossible, clearly, to do.
No.
It just take a little bit of time. So
Yeah, and
not
I don't think it takes necessarily longer than recruiting somebody. And for us, we really needed somebody and wanted somebody to train. We had work for them to do as well. It wasn't as if, we were trying to find something for them to do. It was a genuine development role that we had, that we really felt we could embrace an apprentice in that area. So I think that's really important, as I think if you touched on before about knowing what your apprentice is going to be doing, how that can feed into the KSBs. It's no good having somebody turning up and you've got nothing for them to do, or nothing that feels that it has any meaning, because that can lead to people feeling, unhappy. What I would say about recruiting, and what I've learned as well, is if you think, if you're wanting to recruit, say, an A-level students, I think sometimes a time to start looking, or you need to start planning maybe a year in advance. So the September time, when students are thinking about applying to university, is the time to start advertising and getting things in place, because that's when people are looking for things. People do look for things all the time, but if you can capture your students that are applying through UCAS, that they can apply for an apprenticeship and know they're secure, and they've got a development plan and an apprenticeship that's paid, they've got good career prospects. That's off that for me in the future. Now that's the time I'm probably going to go out to advert, even though it's a bit early. I think that can be a good way of working as well. But equally, any time of the year is good, because there's programs rolling all the time. I think they don't necessarily start at one point, but I think if you're looking for somebody a route rather than university, a route as an apprentice, I think for the applicants, I think September, October is probably quite a good time to advertise as well.
Some good advice, thank you. Okay, brilliant. So hold that thought. We'll come back there. So Megan, over to you. How did you hear about your apprenticeship vacancy? What made you want to apply for it?
So I saw it on the University of Leeds job website, and when I saw it advertised, the combination of learning and working really appealed to me, because I'm still quite young. I'm pretty eager to learn, but then at the same time, it's having that wage and having the combination of both of them. I thought it was really good. And then as well, this job, the requirements didn't ask for like engineering or scientific background. It just asked for sort of good communication skills, and clearly someone that's like ready to learn and learn all the new responsibilities. Yeah. So I thought that it was an opportunity I couldn't really turn down.
Brilliant. Okay. And what was your background when you started your apprenticeship? Were you
I had just finished university myself. I had just graduated. And then from there, it can be quite daunting looking at all the sort of job, like seeing all the different careers out there. And then, like I said, with this one, it didn't ask for a specific background, and engineering specifically appealed to me because I'm sort of surrounded by engineers. I've got a lot of engineering friends, and I just thought it's so relevant. And to just be in that environment, yeah, it really appealed to me.
So the attraction of an apprenticeship, was that about continuing learning as much as getting stuck in for you?
Yeah, definitely. Because as much as a job with maybe a higher salary is nice, you're not necessarily like learning on this. I saw that you can continue doing this CSR course as well as going to work every day. And having that side of it definitely appealed to me, because I knew there'd be sort of in a class alongside other people doing the same thing as me and receiving that support.
Great. Okay. So what about your experience then with onboarding and enrolment and getting all those details? Because there's a lot of paperwork, I know, well, there can be. So how was that for you?
Yeah, it was actually really simple. I think both like Sarah and everyone at Leeds were really inviting. So was CSR. Everyone's been like really accommodating. They've given me everything I could possibly need. They've given me like this laptop that I'm using, my own little space, my desk. I've got a really friendly team, and then CSR as well, very attentive. It's I'm in very very constant contact with like Virginia. I know that if there's anything I ever need, I can contact her, speak to them. We have our calls like once it was more regular, and then now we're on about once a month. But I know that in that time, I can always contact them if there's anything I need. So I think the whole process has been really, really supportive.
Great. And you've got to grips with the software that we use and all those kinds of things. Okay.
Yeah, it's really good actually. I really like the OneFile system. It's I like always keep it up on a tab on my screen so I can see the off the job stuff that I need to be keeping up with, and I can do my different English and maths courses, and then the Teams calls as well. They're really good.
Excellent stuff. Okay, so what about the job itself? What does your role look like? What are your responsibilities? What is it that you're doing?
So at the moment, I've got a mentor called Chris. He's a teaching technician in the teaching labs, and we're basically preparing for the undergraduate and some of the master's practicals that they're doing in the lab. So it's just like I've been getting basic sort of technician skills through work. I've been like weighing out samples and changing gas cylinders. So I've been doing all that while I've been learning. Alongside like the whole course, I've been learning about why I'm doing it, all the health and safety of it, and it's just gone really well hand in hand.
Great. So you're doing stuff, and then you know why, and
exactly,
all that yeah. Brilliant. Okay, great stuff. So back to you, Sarah, if that's okay. So back to the apprenticeship and the impact, really. So what impact has Megan had on your department since she's joined you? What has that felt like for you as a line manager?
Well, for us in Scape, it's just been fantastic having Megan. She's like fitted into the team straight away. We're so looking forward to her coming as well when she agreed. We're all really excited. And she's fitting amazing, with Chris. Chris is mentoring her on the day-to-day. She's brought a fantastic energy. She's made us all feel younger, which is great. And she's just been really amazing. We're just so lucky to have her. She's an absolute pleasure to have around. And, she's really, her work has been so helpful, as well. It's not as if she's creating extra work for us. She's not. It's like she's a part of a team. She comes in, she does her work, so she's just been great. And as I say, we're so lucky to have her, and lucky that really that she picked us and was happy to like take a bit of a chance, because I said to we're so rushed. Can you start next week? It's a new course that we're doing, and she just embraced it, and she's just been fantastic. It's fantastic.
Well, it's so interesting, and I remember the first ever graduation event that we did at CSR, and I spoke at it, and we only had, I think, 15 or 16 people. They're all doing a program that was brand new to apprenticeships, and I talked about risk. There were some employers there, obviously, but I wasn't talking about the risk for the employers. It was the risk that the apprentices. It's a two-way thing, isn't it? When it's an unknown or not a very well-trodden path, there's risk almost on both sides. So it's great that you kind of both embrace that. So we talked about OJT, off the job training. How's that impacted in the day-to-day? Because as you rely on somebody more and more, to lose them is a bit tricky, I suppose.
Well, I look after 130 technical staff in total, and I truly believe in training and development. So whether you're on an apprentice program or not, I would expect all of my technicians to be taking some time in the working week for development. So for me, it's not a problem. We think about that when we're planning our workloads anyway, and it's not been a problem for the school or the faculty. And what I would say is that it adds value, and it adds value to the students, our undergraduates, our master's students, that Megan and all our technical staff are on a permanent, if you like, professional development cycle. So, to me, it should be and is part of the day-to-day.
Yeah, great. Okay, and back to you, Megan. In the time that you've been on programme, how do you feel that the apprenticeship has started to build your knowledge, your skills, and into that role? What's that impact like?
It's been amazing, to be honest. It's like like I was saying about the CSR course and the job going hand in hand, it just works so well, like learning about all the different, because a lot of it, health and safety, I did not realize how huge it was until I came in. So we've covered so much of that content, and I understand why we have to do everything, and then I'm doing it. And I think it's such a good thing to be going into this line of work and to get that like foundation before I've got more like roles that I could go into. I could understand why most of the systems are in place that are in place. Because if you were to come externally into a technician kind of role, then I feel like it would be very overwhelming and you wouldn't understand what's going on with all the, like, it is just mainly the health and safety. But I think, yeah, that is, I've expanded a lot of skills, even just communication, because I speak to the undergraduates, the master's students, I speak to PhD researchers, and then all the other technical staff. It's just been great.
Amazing. Okay, great. Thank you for that. So back to Sarah. So what differences have you noticed then in Megan since she started? Is it that to do with that communication and being able to offer a different perspective, or?
Well, I think Megan naturally is a very she's a people person. You know, she's very friendly, she's very open. You know, she likes getting involved and finding out about different people and how they are, which is great. You know, great asset to have when so if you like customer focused, student focused as we are. But I would say for Megan, her confidence has grown tremendously in the practical classes. You know, she's so proactive. She's like looking for things, finding things, chatting to the students, supporting them. So I was just thinking when we're on this call, I think it's just only 4 months really. It's not very long because say we started at the end of October, so it is about 4 months. And you know, she's just as if she's always been with us, and that's how her confidence has grown from walking in through the door. You know, she's just a part of us and a part of our team, and so I guess the confidence has grown dramatically, and all I can see is continuing to be an absolute success, within the University of Leeds. That's all I can say really.
Well, that's brilliant. So Megan, how does it feel having such an advocate as your line manager? Has that been a help to you?
Yeah, definitely. I feel really lucky to have Sarah as my line manager. She works so hard to advocate the importance of like a technician's role, because I think technicians have been definitely sort of the importance of their job. You wouldn't know it from the outside, but it's huge. And in academia particularly, they don't get enough credit. And Sarah all the time is trying to work hard to recognize that and to give us all the support and rewards. So I'm really, really glad that I've got someone like Sarah to always go to if I need anything. And generally about my future of my apprenticeship, about the future job prospects in the university. I feel like we've got an open communication about that in like quarterly reviews and stuff. We've discussed the plan, and yeah, I just feel really supported.
Great stuff. Amazing. So last question for each of you. I'll start with you, Sarah. It's kind of, again, back to that acid test. So based on your experience so far, I think I know what you're going to say. Would you consider recruiting another apprentice into your team?
Yes, absolutely. It's like working on that already. I've used different providers as well, but my experience with CSI, like the online training, just everything about it, the onboarding, everything has just been so good. It's been really, really, really great, and so I'm really looking to work with the CSR more regarding apprentices and taking on more apprenticeships. Yeah, definitely. And I think we've got like a bit of a social duty as well to do it. It's a really excellent way of training new people coming into the workplace, and I think once you get into the routine of it and get into a position where your university or your workplace is thinking about the funding going forward for apprenticeships, then it's just like an open door. It's just like such a great way of training and learning for people on the job. We're very involved in the technicians commitment at Leeds, and Megan has joined that as like an apprentice to bring her voice to like a lot of older people like me who've been technicians for years, trying to sort things out. But we really wanted younger people to come in as well and talk about their experience. So, you know, an apprentice can add benefit to your organisation or your company on so many different levels. And you know, I would really recommend it, and certainly try with one and see how you get on with it.
Superb. Okay, and final question, Megan. Any regrets? Are you happy with your decision?
Oh no, I'm really glad that I got chosen for this job and got given this opportunity. Especially like I said, I'm just coming in at entry level without experience in this field. Yeah, I'm really glad I'm here.
Great stuff, and thank
Very
you.
good to hear. So good to hear from both of you. Brilliant.
That's it. Well done. Thank you.
Thanks.
So I guess we'll open it up to any questions for either Sarah or Megan.
Before we do,
any...
I also just wanted to say
Sorry.
we do have Bojeno on the line here, I think still. So if there are any detailed questions, maybe B could handle some of those as well. But yeah, over to you and questions. Petra, I can see your hand up.
I have a question to Megan about the online format of the training. I mean, I understand, I like the idea. It's flexible, no need to travel, but I'm wondering whether it is possible to form a sense of community among the fellow apprentices if it's all online and you don't see each other in person. Or
Yeah, that's a fair
so,
question.
then are you missing it, or are you meeting up anyway, or how do you connect?
Well, we do have very interactive Teams calls, so we do breakout rooms every session. So I feel like I've got to know each person in my sort of class one-on-one because I've had the opportunity to speak to them. We do like multiple breakout groups every session. So I think every single person in my class, I know their role, where they work, what they do. And our class is so varied. There's people from like Reading, there's someone in Leeds as well, actually. But I feel like there's so many of us, and it's amazing that we have the opportunity to do it online because we're from obviously opposite ends of the country, but we still all get to be in this one class together.
Thank you.
Great. Esme.
Hi there, good afternoon. I work for the University of the Arts London. Thank you for this. It's been really interesting to hear about kind of how it is in practical terms. I just had more of a question around the kind of content of the delivery. So I work a lot with the heads of resourcing and the technical managers to think about how we can implement apprenticeships in the technical space and technician space. And I think it would be really helpful, and apologies if I've missed this, but to have a kind of overview, not just of the apprenticeship standard, because the standards, but of the module or scheme of work breakdown, just to sort of really clearly be able to sort of almost sell it to them clearly on what it is the apprentices will be learning. Is that possible to see somewhere?
So it will be our version. So obviously, I'm about to say absolutely you can see it. I'm sure we've got examples of it that we've talked to other customers. David B, have we got those we could share through Savannah maybe?
Are we thinking the delivery plan, B?
Yeah, so in the delivery plan, the way the delivery plan's sort of been developed, and also the entire course, I've tried to develop it in a natural way where the sort of topic areas and the different criteria and how they would naturally be meeting them as a new employee and somebody coming into the business, and some of the different things that they would be growing and learning to do. And within the delivery plan, within each sort of module topic area, I've identified the criteria that are covered and how they're grouped together. So that gives you a bit of an idea what sort of falls in within that sort of within that module and that topic area.
That would be really helpful if it is possible to share that, because I think it brings it alive for people who maybe, because sometimes the apprenticeship standards aren't always easy to interpret. I mean, we live and breathe them in the apprenticeship space, right? But other people don't. So thank you. That'd be helpful.
No problem.
Thank you. Thanks, B. Arthur, I think you were next.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I've submitted a couple of questions on the chat, so I'll just try and sort of reiterate those. So I think Megan and Sarah provided me to some answers, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. So as an employer or apprentice, why would they choose this standard over one of the standards that might provide a more specific focused set of skills like the laboratory, the level 3 laboratory skills?
From my perspective, Arthur, I think that if somebody's in the laboratory space, and that's the technician, the classical laboratory technician role, then that is the standard that they should be doing. I think if something sits outside of that, if a role sits outside of that, if you're supporting multiple different faculties, and it might not be a great fit. So if the lab tech's not a great fit, and quite often I think when people do the laboratory technician, the progression route is into, well, if you look at the standards, there's technician scientist, and the next, that's at level 5. And the next one is the degree, the laboratory scientist degree level. And if you look at the occupational profile for those, they are no longer technicians, they are performing research and tests. So the career path has evolved and changed. So I think that if you wanted to stay within that occupation, this really is the main vehicle for development at that entry level stage. And Caleb, have there been discussions around the progression routes inside this standard for other standards to be developed?
I think that's something that there's definitely interest in, and I think it's something we definitely would like the Trailblazer group to consider if they want to work on that next. Just on that first point, one of the things I would also say is the difference between this and the lab technician apprenticeship is this one is designed for use in university, so takes into account the student context and the research in a university context, whereas the lab technician standard is more designed by private, big companies that use it. So this is more bespoke for universities than for sort of private companies, etc.
Okay, can I just answer my own question? If that's so, I'll answer it on Megan's behalf. So Megan might butt in and tell me something different. If it was Megan, I think I'd have been looking at. I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to end up. Whether I might be a physics technician or a technician in geography or anywhere at a big higher education institute. If it was Sarah, I think I would be wanting someone with a broad set of core skills and knowledge, which this looks to provide. I'm not an expert on the standard, so I've not seen it. Is that about right, Megan and Sarah?
Yeah, for me it's definitely so. The standard laboratory technician wasn't correct for what I wanted. I get research technicians. I wanted a teaching technician. So it's about understanding those experiments. You don't have to be a research scientist, and being able to communicate that to the students. So
do you find that gives your apprentice more flexibility so they can move wherever within the university from that apprenticeship?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, we're keeping Megan in one school, but we've got lots of different sort of laboratory teaching spaces within that. So she's going to get lots and lots of different experience. You could use these set of standards across a university. So someone could have different experience of different kinds of laboratories, say earth and environment, engineering. You could do it that way as well, definitely. Yeah. So then they could choose which sort of area they like the best. Yeah.
And Megan, did that sort of thought process enter your mind?
Yeah, so for me, I think a massive part of it being a teaching apprenticeship is about like the communication side of it and dealing with the people as well as just the technical skills. And I'm learning both, so I think it's just as good for like future prospects because I can go into like technical stuff or even other things that would just like build on the skills of like the communication side of it.
So that then brings me on to my second part of my question.
Arthur, I don't know with the mind on the clock.
Sorry, all right, okay.
Giovanna also waiting patiently.
Fine, okay. Well, I'll leave that in the chat and perhaps you can get.
Yeah, we'll answer that. Yeah, okay. Thank you. No problem, Giovanna.
So I had one question, but now I would like to follow up a tiny bit on what you just are talking about. So first of all, my question was about the length. So I work at University College London, and my experience is not direct. I have been talking with few people that either have been the managers of apprentices or apprentices themselves in the other program, the laboratory technician program. And so one of the questions is the one that you are presenting today new, and therefore this is the one that now is more specific for teaching laboratories, for teaching technicians, because the laboratory technician program was used for teaching technicians in the past. That's what, quite a few of the examples that we have at UCL have been on the laboratory technician program, and they were working in teaching labs. I am interested to actually find a program that could be across the board, because for the kind of jobs that we have, it might be difficult to actually provide enough experiences for apprentices in just one sector or the other. And I work at faculty level, so I was hoping to find a program that would allow the apprentice to actually have experiences both in teaching labs and in research labs. So it would be good to know what you advise in terms of these two frameworks. And in terms of the time, the point is the people that have experienced this, they actually ran it for a couple of years. It wasn't a 12-month program with plus the 13. And if I look at the link that was put into your chat, that suggests a 24 months program. So I don't know, because obviously the university will cater for having that program for a certain amount of time. And so it makes a big difference if it's 1 year or 2 years.
Okay, so I'll take it the time one first, and then perhaps others could jump in around the suitability and the difference. But this is a 15-month program plus 3 with the endpoint assessment. One of the crucial differences between the laboratory technician is that in our experience, most of the customers that we have for the laboratory technician would also have an academic qualification at the same time. That means that the program, because of that, has to be longer. If you take that element out and you're focusing on a really good workplace where there's lots of variation, there's lots of experience and lots of opportunity to develop, you won't need that length of time to develop the skills that the standard need for the KSBs. So often, even when we run the laboratory technician without an academic qualification, it would be 18 months rather than 24 months. What the information will say on the Trailblazer on the IFATE site is an expectation, almost an average, and before it's run, they've already said 24 months before it was even delivered in practice. So as things are refreshed and we get more information about how well it can be delivered and what the experience is like both for employers and apprentices, you may well see that flex slightly. I know Caleb this year is probably looking at a light refresh of this standard as well. So over to the suitability then across faculty. I think maybe somebody else might be able to answer that.
I can jump in. I've got experience of both. So I've been to universities and been a vocational skills coach for learners that have been on the lab technician program. And it's not to say that is not suitable. However, from what I've seen, it's more suited to those who are in the science setting, because typically, as Simon mentioned earlier, a lot of that goes on to, and the possible career progressions do go to sort of laboratory settings that then go on to either manufacture or do research that does tend to be within sort of the scientific sphere. With the education technician, part of the reason it came to me to develop is I have experience working within sort of the academic sphere as a technician. Whilst it was science, I can appreciate that there are, especially within a university, lots of others who are within technicianing roles. And I think that's opened up the opportunity for those other technicians so that it's not just science technicians that are doing a qualification. We've got a varied group, as Megan said. There's people from all over the country, but also working within different scopes as technicians within the university. So although some still might feel that it feels more science focused, there's nothing in it that says specifically science. It's the opportunity as a technician to develop those skills. And there's opportunities then as you take on an apprentice, if there are areas that haven't been explored before for development, there's the opportunity to do that throughout the course. And you know, we can always talk about those aspects within quarterly reviews to get a feel for what it is that's going on within the department. So it really comes down to who those technicians are, who you're considering for the standard, and also in part where their paths might lead in the future. If they've come in with a science degree and they really want to pursue research and they've specifically gone for a lab technician role within the science sphere, then possibly the laboratory technician standard is the pathway for them because that's what they want to pursue further. But with the education technician, as Megan said, it opens up doors that might not just be down the science route, basically.
Thank you all today for spending your Friday afternoon with us, and I hope it's been an enjoyable session. And especially to Sarah and Megan, thank you so much. It's great to hear your stories. And I'm so glad that you're both doing so well at Leeds.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay.
Thanks very much, David.
Okay, thanks, Megan. Thanks so much for coming on.